So good morning friends, this is Durga again from ITversity, a one-stop shop to learn all the technologies. At this time we are in the middle of big data certifications workshop to prepare for certifications. We have already covered Scoop and Hive. Now I will be talking more about, I will continue where we have paused as part of the last class. So let me set up WebEx and we will start. So I'm back. Let me start the recording for this session. And I hope those who are on WebEx can see my screen and listen to me. I hope. So there seems to be some issue on Google Hangout. Let me share it again. Okay, now it should be fixed in Hangout also. Yeah, now it is fixed in Hangout also. Okay, so let us proceed. So we are in the middle of the exercise. So let me ask this question. How many of you guys actually created both the databases and created all the tables I have mentioned and loaded the data successfully? Or let me ask this, whoever could not do it, or if you have any issues, let me know. I will try to share your screen and try to troubleshoot those issues. Okay, it is very important to complete that because we'll be running several SQL queries when we start next class on HiveQL. And Hive is one of the most important skill to have in the big data ecosystem. And understanding the intricacies of how it executes and all is very, very significant. And from next week, the session will be a lot more interactive. Okay, so make sure you create all those tables. If you don't create all those tables, you will not be able to perform the task which I will be giving while writing as part of the HiveQL sessions. So today we'll continue where we have paused yesterday. Yesterday I have given you an exercise. Let me open that exercise for you. And also, even if you are done with the exercise, if you have any question, if something is not understood, let me know. I will try to clarify. Okay, so this is the exercise. So in this, we are trying to create partition tables. We have created bucketed tables. We have created tables with pipe as delimiter. We have compressed the tables. So most of the skills that are required to create typical Hive tables and load data into them are covered as part of this exercise. Okay. So to run the script, you have to say Hive minus F, not a Hive minus E. So if you can give me your lab ID, I will take a look at it and see what is the issue. What is your lab ID, Savita? What is your lab user ID? Okay, I got it. Okay, now I have logged in like you, and this is the script. Okay, yes, because you only say create table without use command, it is directly getting into default database, and as the table already exists, it is failing. That is correct. So what you have to do is, first you need to make sure you have the database. Okay, or you can also say this, you can copy your username and then create database, but the database might already exist. So the one of the limitation of using hive minus f. Okay, thank you. One of the limitation of using hive minus f is if there is one command which throws exception, it will fail the entire script. So it will be somewhere in the middle. So to address those kinds of issues, if you are not sure whether the database already exists, and if the database does not exist, you want to create, you can say if not exists, yes. And then here you have to switch to the database. And then you have to say Savita underscore stage, and then save it, come out of it, and then run hive minus s create products.hql. Okay, now it is done. Now if you can say hive minus e use Savita underscore stage show tables and hit enter. You can see the products table now. And you can use if not exists even at the table level. If you are not sure whether the table already exists or not. That's correct. Amit is asking, again, you guys are pinging me privately. Please change it to everyone so that people have context. So I have resolved Savita's issue. Savita was trying to run .hql and it is creating table in default database, and I hope you understood the solution for it. Now Amit is asking if the delimiter is different while creating table compared to data which we have, then there is only way to do is through stage table, not by data loading. That is correct. First you have to use stage table, load data into stage table, and then use insert command to load into the final table. Is that the only way to do? Need not be. There are other ways also to do. Other ways are either you can use regular map reduce programming. There is input format called DB input format. You can connect to the source data directly, and then you can actually load data into the location where your hive tables are pointing to. But it is a lot more complicated. Even though we can do it in one step, writing that program will take good amount of time. Rather, better to use Hive-based APIs to just load into a stage table and then run insert command, which will generate the MapReduce code on the fly to apply those transformations and load data in the way you want. So you guys can start typing the questions if you have any. Let Jasmine let grab glass of water. So I'm back. So Savita is saying I use timestamp data type for date field. Is that fine? You have to validate. Timestamp expects data to be in a particular format, and as long as uh, it is in proper format, it will work. Otherwise, you might run into some issues. So you just have to validate that it works fine. And Ravindra, what is the question? So do you have to load all the tables to stage database using external table? Either you load all the tables, or instead of loading, you can also say, so let me exit from Savita and let me other options are you can store it as string. Dates can be stored as string. And also you can actually store it in Unix timestamp also. But if you want to use Unix timestamp, then I think you have to store it as big int or something. Okay, so let me answer Ravindra's question. So where we have our data, it's locally it's under /data/retail_db, right? And now if I want to create external tables and point to a location, there are multiple ways to do. Okay. First, I can do one thing I can do is I can create a database under my home directory, user dgaziraju retail_external. Okay. And then I can directly say Hadoop fs hyphen put or copy from local data retail_db and /star. It will copy everything from that location. And I can do like this. So whatever is there on the retail_db will be copied to retail_external directly. Then what I can do, I can go to Hive. I can go to my database. Let's say stage in this case. I'm not sure if it exists. It does not exist. So let me create database. Use. Now I can create external table pointing to my location. So let me say create external table departments, department ID int, department name string. Okay, and then row format delimited, fields terminated by comma location, it's, and then give user dgaziraju retail external departments. So we don't need to load the data because we have already data in that location. If the data is not already copied, then we can actually load the data. Now, if I preview the data, select star from departments and hit enter, you can see the data over there. Okay. And if I want, I can actually, I'm not sure truncate will work. Let me try truncate table. Departments, theoretically it should not work because it's a non-match table and it's failing. Now let me remove that directory. rm-r user dgaziraju retail_external departments. Now the directory is gone. So the alternative way is other approach is, now you have your table pointing to non-existing directory. So if I run the search star from departments, there is nothing over there. So what I can do, I can say load data. Here I am trying to copy data from local directory. Hence I have to use local in path and then give data retail underscore DB departments. Here we have to put it in single quote. Into table departments. Okay, now I can run select star from departments, and you can see the data. Okay, so it's up to you how you want to design. So if you get all the data in already pre-formatted directory structures and all those things, you can just create the entire directory in HDFS and just create external tables against it. Or if you have to load, you have to use load command to load into those tables. Yes, Himabindu, sorry, Himanshu. Same is the case with manage. Yes, here only thing is when we drop the table, it will drop the directory. That's the only limitation with manage tables. Okay, now I drop external table, drop table departments. Okay, now structure is gone, but data is still there under data. Sorry, user D Gadiraju, retail external and departments. The data is still there. Now I can create a manage table. Here I am specifying the location. If the location is not specified, it will expect in the same location. Okay, now if you run select star from departments, you still can see the data. Select count of 1 from, it is running MapReduce. It is working. Sometimes it might have some issues when we try to load data first and then create tables on top of it. There is a command called msck, I guess. 1 minute, let me hive repair table. Yeah, msck repair table. If there is any issue, if there are any issues when you are pointing to external locations, if you are sure that there is data and there is a structure on top of it, sometimes your metastore might be in sync, in out of sync with whatever you are trying to do. In that case, you just have to say msck repair table name. So if there is any issues in syncing your table name and underlying data in HDFS, then this msck repair table will resolve those issues. So there is a follow-up question from Himanshu. No, need not be. Typically, whenever there is select query, it will try to run MapReduce jobs. When you do insert statement, typically you use select query. So most of the insert statements, it will run MapReduce jobs. For most of the select queries, it will run MapReduce jobs. However, there are exceptions. Okay, one of the exception is, let's say I just want to get the data from departments table and hit enter. So in this case, what it has to do, it just has to read the data from top and get as many records as you want. Sometimes I just want to say limit 3. I just want first 3 records in the files. For these kind of queries where there are not much complex filtering or aggregations, it will not actually run MapReduce. Otherwise, for most of the select queries, it will use MapReduce. So when it sees query like this, it will actually issue Hadoop FS, a class called file system, and in that it will try to use file system APIs to get first few records. So there is a question from Savita. How can we handle the situation when we have comma as delimiter and our some of the fields have commas within themselves. For example, address will have comma to separate your pin code, city, and your street address. It's quite common. So first of all, you should not use comma for most of the scenarios. You have to use a special character to avoid these kinds of issues. Okay, and then there is something called regex serde. So if you want to handle that using regex, you can use regex serde serialization deceleration framework, and you can handle some of these issues. Okay, but it need not solve all the problems, but in some cases you might get solution for simple issues like this. In some cases, you will even have new line character within the data. In that scenario, you might have to develop your own survey. It all depends upon the complexity of the problem. Okay, for regular data, to avoid these issues, we don't use comma as delimiter or pipe as delimiter. We use special characters. That's why Hive's default delimiter is ASCII null value, which is control A or slash U001. You have to use those things. Very good question, Savita. So anyone completed the exercise? Yes, so if you go through exercise, so let me see the exercise. So what I'm saying in final, you have to create all 6 tables in Hive as managed tables. Delimiter is pipe. Also use gzip compression while storing the data. So these are all regular tables. And yes, you have to create 2 additional tables for orders and order items, and they should be bucketed. And then you have to create table for orders. So you still have to get three more tables. Yeah, you can use sequence file if you want, or you can use regular also. It doesn't matter. Or you can even try ORC or Parkway or Avro and see if it creates without any issues. File format can be anything. Okay, no, here I'm saying delimiter is pipe. So these delimiters are applicable only for text file formats. So these 6 tables probably have to be text files only. Then these things, orders, order items, either you can create sequence file, whatever file format, you can give a try. If you run into any issues, we will see. How to use gzip compression? So again, you are only sending to me privately. So please change it to everyone and send it to everyone. Okay. So the question is how to use the gzip compression. It's pretty simple. You don't need to do anything as part of your create table commands. But when you load the data, okay, when you load the data, you have to set couple of parameters. And how to get those parameters? So hive minus e set grep compress, grep -i compress to make it case insensitive search. Okay. Yes, hive exec compress equal to true, and also you have to set codec. Let me give the parameters. Okay, so this one is to set it to true, and then to override the codec, it's pretty big. and it does not start with Hive. Okay, it will be like map reduce dot, I think output, yeah, output file format dot compress dot codec. So this is the one you have to use. Okay, so you can actually go here, launch Hive. No, you are not allowed to use Google during the exam, Ramesh. They will only give official Hive and Scoop documentation, and I don't think they will ask anything related to compression. Okay, so don't worry about compression. But if you want, it's pretty straightforward. You can use Hive -c command to get all the parameters with respect to Hive, and you can grep for the particular string, and then to override codec, probably for these complex questions, they might give the parameters, they might give some hints somewhere. Okay, but to answer your question, no, you will not be able to use Google at the time of examination. So to answer Savita's question, I am asking for Gzip, and if you see, the default codec is um, this one, org.apache.hadoop.io.compress.default codec. It's not Gzip codec. Okay, to get the fully qualified path, fully qualified class name for Gzip, you can say set IO compression codecs, and here you will see all the eligible codecs. Okay, so let me move this to the bottom and then let me show it here. Okay, so IO compression codecs will give the eligible codecs in this session, and for Gzip you have to use this. Okay, so you have to set Hive exec compress. What is the parameter? Compress output equal to true. This is the one which you need to set, because we are trying to compress the output of our MapReduce program. We have to set this to true. And to understand more about compression, you can actually search saying YouTube IT Varsity compression. And then there is so these are the two things which you can follow to understand more about compression theoretically. But here, from Hive context, I just showed you how to store data in compress format. I haven't covered compression completely. So I will try to do as part of the last week, where I will be talking about a lot on performance tuning. There I might cover compression more uh, uh, in more depth. So this is 23rd session, and we still have up to 17. And within this, by next couple of classes, the first half of Spark with Scala will be done. And then I will cover 4 to 5 classes. I will cover Python with respect to Spark. I will not go as depth as we have seen in Scala, but I will cover Python also a little bit. Meanwhile, we'll be done with Hive also. So by 32 sessions, we'll be done with Spark, Hive, Scoop. And then last 8 sessions, we will be looking into other aspects, which includes performance tuning. Okay, is it in the lab? You are logging out within few seconds. Is it the problem with only Savita, or is everyone facing the same problem? And are you using web console or putty or terminal? Savita? Okay, don't use web console. Web console is only for convenient purposes. Try to use putty. It will be a lot more stable. Or Sigwin if you have Sigwin, or terminal if it is Linux based system. And also, Savita, please change it to everyone whenever you ask questions. Please change it to everyone so that everyone get context. Sometimes I might not repeat the questions, and the chat will not be visible to everyone. So that's what. Instead of using this web console in this page, this by clicking on Open Console, try to set up putty on your machine if it is Windows laptop, and use putty. If it is Mac, try to use terminal like this. Even if for Linux also you will have terminal, try to use terminal. Windows, either use putty or Sigwin. That will be a lot more stable than web console. I didn't get your question, Himanshu. While creating file, I don't know. You mean creating table? Can you elaborate? You can also unmute yourself and ask the question directly. Nothing. You don't need to do anything. You just have to set this parameter to true. I think you might have missed the session earlier when I spoke about compression. You just have to set this parameter to true. hive.exec.compress.output equal to true. You don't need to change anything in create table. In the same table, you can have some data compressed, some files uncompressed also. So just you have to set hive exec compress output to true. This is the parameter. By default, it is false. You have to set it to true. And then to use whatever codec you want, you have to override this parameter. And default for that parameter is default codec. You have to change it to Gzip codec. Okay, if anyone done with the exercise, let me know. I will just review for the rest of the folks, and then we will wrap up for today. We have 5 more minutes. In next 2-3 minutes, if anyone is done with all the tables, just let me know. I will just validate whether yours is successful or not for the others' reference, and they can do it by yourself, by themselves, whenever they are done. Also, if you are done and if you want me to review, just reply to this and give your lab ID, and then give the databases which you have used to create. And then I will have a look at those and I will confirm that everything is good or not. Okay, just go to this exercise and click on reply and give your lab ID and give the database names. Okay, we have 2 more minutes. I hope everyone is comfortable at least. If you still have any doubts in whatever DDL and data load commands we have seen, just raise those concerns or doubts, and I will try to clarify. Okay, okay, then we'll wrap up for the session today. Try to finish off by Monday, and we will actually start looking into queries, which is very important. I'll go pretty deep in the queries. I will start with simple SQL, and then I will cover joins, and I will cover group by and aggregations, and also I will try to cover window functions. Most of you guys might not be familiar with window functions. I will cover that also, and it's very, very important, especially when it comes to processing the data, about understanding windowing functions. Not only from Hive perspective, in general also windowing functions are very powerful, whether it is Oracle or Informix or MySQL or any database which supports them, and you should have enough knowledge in that area, and we will see that also. So it will take at least 6 to 8 hours just to focus on Hive query language. Okay. That being said, thank you very much, and have a nice weekend. We'll catch up on Monday, and there will be no class on next Tuesday and Wednesday also. Okay. Bye. And those who are on YouTube session, thank you very much for joining the session. We'll catch up next week. I think as per the schedule, I have class tomorrow, but I will cancel that. Okay. And if you have any questions at any point in time, you can go to discuss.itversity.com and you can start writing the questions. And there are army of volunteers who are actually responding to those questions. That being said, thank you. Bye.